Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a deeper dive on our TCGPlayer store, how we go about listing our items, how we sort our cards, and just some general sales data to give you guys an idea of what is possible with a store like this. Just as a disclaimer, this is not my full-time job. This is just something that I do to have more capital to put into the collection, essentially, to go out and get the cards that we want. We sell some of the singles, some of the playable cards to help recoup some of the investment we are making into the game. So with that being said, this is not to brag or say that I'm the best at this. This is just simply my process. In our video yesterday, it seemed like quite a few people had questions on or just general interest in, like, hey, can you do a deeper dive on this? And so that's what we're doing today. If you already have a TCGPlayer store up and running and you're good at it, you're probably better than me. And so I'd say this video isn't for you, but this is just a general general rough draft or general idea of how I go about my particular store and some of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. So to start it off, to give you guys an idea, I have a report sorted here on our sales data for September. So far for September, we've done 122 orders in total. Our gross sales is $1,364.64. Our net sales minus fees, so our profit is $1,151. So definitely a good amount of sales this month. Overall, I think we're closing in on like 1,000 sales in total for our store. We've got 100% customer satisfaction rating. We've had one negative review in that duration, and that person was someone and you'll run into this. It's worth noting. Someone got their cards. They said they were not near mint. They absolutely were. I had them some photos. I disputed it, and ultimately TCGPlayer said they didn't even side with them. They essentially just said, like, well, too bad. It's kind of the way that went. It was only a couple dollars. So it wasn't a big deal. It was more like the principle of the thing. Like the person was legitimately just a scammer. So I did lose that one. Like I said, it was a couple bucks. So it wasn't a big deal. Overall, 100% customer satisfaction rating. I've had a great time selling on TCGPlayer. And so this is just to give you an idea of, like, how many sales am I doing. I would say this is definitely a good month. We opened a lot of Rise of the Floodborn recently because of that sale that happened on the Disney store. We're getting Floodborn boxes for $100, and so we bought a lot of those. We listed product, and we've been selling a ton of cards ever since. So with that being said, here's an idea of my general sales data. Now, in terms of setting up the store, I'm not going to go through a whole deep dive on that. It is a very easy process. If you go to tcgplayer.com and you click sell with us, it's going to walk through the process of setting up the store. It's very, very easy. You just put in your personal information, like name, address, contact info, etc. They then go through a verification process, which can take a couple days or maybe even up to a week. And then from there, once everything checks out, you'll be approved and you'll be able to go in and actually list cards and go through that process. Now, I do want to switch over to like a top-down view and kind of give you guys an example of what my process looks like here for my store. So I have an order here that is a very, very large order. Oh man, that's a little bit too close. So let me move these back. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. But I have an order here for someone who placed an order with my store yesterday that is a huge order. It is actually an 84 card in total order. You can see the 84 there. I apologize, the zooms, the color looks terrible. 84 cards, and it's a $55 order. So this is an example of on the high end what can come in. This person needed a ton of cards. You can see here my order sheet is huge for this one. I would say this is very much abnormal. On average, your card orders are probably like anywhere from a card to like maybe 5 to 10. Because the way I have my store set up, I do get quite a few like 20 card orders, but that's kind of just based on my inventory and where I have stuff priced at. But this is an idea of what can come in. This is just one of the orders I got yesterday. It happens to be an 84 card one, and it's $88. But to get into some of the specifics on like how I sort my cards and how I go about running my store, whenever I get an order like this, I print off the order sheet from TCGPlayer. It tells me every card that I need to pull, what the person ordered, etc. So I know, like for this example, it's always going to start at the top of the most recent set and then go to the most current. So this entire first page, I know it's hard to see, but it's all Shimmering Skies. So I know that I'm going to have to get through quite a few Shimmering Skies cards to even get down to where Ursula's Return starts. Now I know that it also resets once it gets to cold foil, and all the cold foils are always in the bold lettering there. So I've got quite a few cold foils that were purchased as well. So I'm going to look here and I see, I've got Shimmering Skies, the entire first, actually every cold foil that this person bought is Shimmering Skies, and then I've got a full page and a half of regular Shimmering Skies that is non-cold foil. So I would essentially just start at the top of our Shimmering Skies list here, and I see that they got a bad Anon Villain Support Center, card 203 out of 204. So we know it's a steal, and we know that it's a rare, obviously location in this particular example. So I would have my 2 Shimmering Skies troves here. I've got Amber, Amethyst, Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, and Steel. Sorted by color. This is every card that I have listed in my TCGPlayer store for Shimmering Skies. I have commons and uncommons front to back based on their card number in the set. And then at the back of each particular color, I have cold foils, rares, super rares, and legendaries already in penny sleeves ready to go. So for example, this order, we know that Bad Anon is the first card that they purchased. So we're going to go to our steel section. We're going to pull out our kind of rare and up tier. We know that it's location, so it's going to be towards the back. And we have 2 Bad Anon Villain Support Centers right there, penny sleeved, ready to go. So we're going to set those off to the side, and we go down to the next item, which in this case is Bashful Adoring Knight, which is card number 189. So that's about 15 or so roughly in front of the Bad Anon Support Center. I think it's a couple. There we go. Bashful Adoring Knight. This person got 2 of those, so we have, 2 here. So we set those aside. We will penny sleeve those, but we just kind of get all our cards in order. Make sure, obviously, with an order like this, you don't want to mess anything up. And so I'll go through and take my time and make sure. But we've already got 4 of the cards knocked out there. The next card is another rare and it's number 115, Denahi. Which is a really cool card. I'm not sure. I don't know what that guy's from. I was actually, when I was listing him, I was thinking like, man, I have no clue what this particular character is from. But we know that he's right there. We know that he's a rare, and I just know that he's Ruby. So we go and find him. So that's number 5. And then we would continue to go from there. So like I said, I've got every set is set up like this where me and my daughter, my wife sometimes, and sometimes my son when he's not in the mood to bend every card he touches, which he just turned 3, so more often than not he bends any cards he touches, so he doesn't touch too many of them. But we'll go through, let's say Azurite Sea comes out, we open our 2 cases that we get, and we've got all our cards out on the table. Me and my daughter will then go through and start to sort by color. So we'll do a pile of amber, pile of amethyst, and so on, just to get them all in a pile and sorted by those particular colors. At that point, on like my phone or my iPad, I'll pull up the actual list of how the cards lay out. Previously, it was very easy because it was always alphabetical. At this point, now it's not. So you'll get, the first card in Sapphire is King Candy. That's not an A, right? So it's a little bit harder now with these sets moving forward because they changed the way that it's laid out in the app and how it's set up here. But we'll pull up the actual app on an iPad or an iPhone. We'll look at the card order and we'll begin to set a particular color out by how they are in their order in the set. And so we'll go through and do all of that. And so then once we have all of them sorted, so we've got our stacks and they're all in card order, I'm then going to go through and I'm going to fill up our playset binder. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. Now this wouldn't apply to you if you're not a player and you're not interested in building decks. This would not apply to you. You would just go through and kind of list whatever you wanted to. Now in my particular case, because I have started to play the game quite a bit, we do like to go through and set up our playset binder. So each one of these cards has 4 in it, each one of these slots has 4 of the card in it, and we will go through and complete our play sets first before I list any cards, because I want to make sure that as my family continues to get more into the game and as I'm going to set championships and the few events that I can go to, I want to be able to build any deck that I want, and I also think that these are going to be a good long-term kind of hold, so that's an additional benefit. But I essentially set up my playset binders, and then from there, so let's say You Have Forgotten Me. If I had 4 of these cards, I would put my first 4 in here. I typically just like to have the shiny cards that I can in here, and then I'll list the rest. So I would set 4 aside. I would put them in penny sleeves. I would put them in here, and then from there, let's say I had 20 of that card left over, it's an uncommon. I typically don't list any more than like 10 copies of a card at a time, because you'll see as the meta shifts, you'll see some pretty significant price changes with these cards. And so I don't really want someone to be able to buy like all 20 copies of mine immediately whenever I would rather hold some back and be able to kind of move with the market. And so that's why I only list like at max 10 of any card at a given time. Just an idea, or just to show you guys kind of another example of my setup. I have if you're familiar with like the Pokemon UPCs, the Ultimate Premium Collections, they fit 4 ETBs in them perfectly. And so this is kind of like my shipping box. I've got my semi-rigids, I've got my top loaders, I've got my various sleeves, I've got some cool little stickers I've made, some team bags and things like that. And so like in a typical order, I'll have my, just a standard envelope with a stamp. I'll then, if it's like a 1 or a 2 card order, I'll use just a standard top loader. If it's maybe like a 6 card order, I'll put them in penny sleeves and I'll put them in a semi-rigid with some painter's tape over top. And then I'll print out their invoice, put it in with the envelope, and ship it from there. So that process is pretty easy. It goes very, very smoothly. I would recommend, if you are going to set up a store, to buy this stuff in bulk. So buy as many semi-rigids as you can at a time, buy as many top loaders as you can at a time, penny sleeves, etc. That brings the price per unit down significantly. And that's a huge part of making this store as profitable as possible, is buying in bulk and getting your cost per unit down as cheap as possible. So we're going to switch back over to the screen share here. Another just kind of like general tidbit or piece of advice I have for you guys is, if you have a card like Maui, for example, that you want to sell, and we'll actually, let me move this over here. We are going to hop back over to my store. And we're going to go to inventory, just to give you an idea of like how I go about listing cards. So whenever you go to list a card, you're going to be in this screen, this UI. And let's say we just wanted to list Maui here to all. Obviously, one of the most playable cards, one of the most iconic cards. And Lorcana, let's say we had 8, for example, to sell. I would click on the Maui Hero to All to list it. We'd get into list interface, where it's going to show us our lowest listing, last sold listing, and market price listing. You could just like kind of go to market price, click, obviously match, list your 8, and then be done with it. What I would advise is you go to this TCGPlayer Live Prices link, just control click it, pop it out in a new window, and then you'll be able to see kind of the actual landscape of who has cards for sale here. So you'll see that like 1531 is what it's suggesting you list it at for market, but there's not a single card here that's available for $15.31. If you filter by item price only, sure, there's some down here, but like this person, they've got it listed for $13 plus $5 shipping. So yeah, there is one listed for $12.98, but it's technically an $18 card for them. So when I filter by price plus shipping, I'm going to look, and let's say if I had 8 for sale, for example, I would probably only list 4 at a time. And I would probably go to, like, we see Acquire Card House here. They have 4 available for $16.45. They're a verified seller. And so I would probably just go like $16.44. If I was a verified seller and I had 4 that I was looking to get rid of, I'd probably just be the cheapest on the market to buy a playset from one particular seller. That would be my thought process there. Now, if you have one card and you are not a verified seller and you're kind of new, and this video is getting you to start your store, etc., then you're going to need to get some reviews, right? And you're going to want to become a verified seller. And so maybe you see that the lowest listing is $15.70. You might just go ahead and list one for like $15.49 or maybe even $14.99, just a price that you're going to be lowest on the market. So that way someone maybe is willing to buy from an unverified seller who doesn't have any sales data yet, because you're the cheapest on the market. And so that's stuff that you guys are going to have to kind of weigh and balance as you start your stores and you begin to sell your cards. But I would strongly advise to go ahead and go through this process. Obviously, there are tax implications and things like that, so you need to set yourself up for success there. I'm not a financial. This is not financial. Financial advice. I'm not an accountant. I have people in place to help me with those things. And so at the end of the day, I would definitely recommend exploring those options, whether you're watching YouTube videos or, however you need to go about that process. I personally have a sole proprietorship set up to run all my business accounts through and things like that. And so that's definitely one avenue you could be. I have a tax exempt shrimp license and things like that. There's a lot of videos and things like that out there. Do your own research. I'm not here to advise you on those things. But I think that if you plan to be in Lorcana for a long time, and this is a hobby that you enjoy, and you feel like selling some of the singles makes a lot of sense, then I would recommend going through this process, setting up your store, and kind of using some of the things that I said here to maybe, whether it's how you sort your cards, whether it's your shipping supplies, whatever it is. If you could take away anything from this video, I would say just take that step to at least set up your store and give it a shot. At the end of the day, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And if you've got cards, if you've opened a lot of Lorcana and you're just kind of sitting on a lot of the commons, uncommons, rares, etc., that maybe aren't the most collectible or the most valuable, and you don't want to take the time to set up a store, then reach out to me. I'd love to take them off your hands, give you a fair market price for the bulk, and I'll go through the inventory and I'll list it, because this, as you can see, $1,300 for the month of September so far that's coming back to me. That's a lot of money that I could, that's like 3 cases of Azurite Sea on release day. Or in my case, like I really, really, really like that Brave Little Tailor Mickey Mouse from the D23 box, the 2024 version. I want to have a lot of those, so I'll use some of this money to go out and maybe get a couple play sets of those cards, just because I want to have them in my collection. And so these are just kind of some general tips and tricks and ideas about how I go about sorting my cards, going through the order process, and what that looks like. If anyone else has a store, like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm nowhere near the best, but I feel like I'm pretty efficient. I can knock out quite a bit of orders in a short amount of time. But if anyone has tips and tricks that they'd like to share, please put them in the comments. And then if you've watched this video, you're on the fence, and you have some more in-depth questions, feel free to either comment on the video, shoot me an email, we can hop in Discord. Let me know how I can be of service to you, and I would love to help you out. So with that being said, guys, that is going to be the end of the video today. I think I gave you a good general idea of how I go about my process. If you have anything else for me, please let me know in the comment section. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.